What's up, everyone? We give a couple minutes before we start the event. Thank y'all for coming in. As you know, we got some new music today. That's all they put on the platform for us, though. Hey, Brian and AJ, mute your mics for me real quick. That's Brian, yeah. All right, we're going to give a couple more minutes. We'll start at 7:05. You know, we had a good list of people that's going to come in tonight, so we're going to see if we can get them in. I got one more minute. All right, we're going to get this thing started. So, hey, we appreciate everybody that's in attendance right now. We appreciate those who want to be watching the recording. Welcome to Level Up in Tech, How to Land a Role in Cloud Security. I'm your host, Broadus Palmer, founder, CEO of Level Up in Tech. Some people call me B Palmer, some people call me Palmer, but I'm here with my co-host.
Yeah. I am Brian Witcher, Director of Coaching and Development here at Level Up in Tech, also DevOps Engineer at Threat Connect. Here today to talk cloud security with the GOAT.
Yo, the GOAT, the cloud security expert, guru, whatever you want to call him, AJ Yawn, co-founder and CEO of Bytechek. That man been in every press release I've seen for every month of the year, bro. Like you killing it, man. What's up, bro?
What's going on, fellas? Always appreciate it. I don't know if I'm the GOAT, but I'm just out here working, using the cloud to change my life, and hoping to inspire others to do the same.
Yeah, Phil, seriously. And Brian, I want to tell you, Brian, like when I come on with that energy, match my Brian Richard.
You want me to get hyped? I'll be late 30 times.
Yo, but so when we have guests on, AJ, we normally get to, obviously we already introduced you in your title, but share one interesting thing about yourself that a lot of people don't know, bro.
That a lot of people don't know. That's tough because my life is kind of public now, but I assume that everybody here hasn't met me, so I'll share two things. One, I played basketball in college at Florida State University, and the other, I'm one of 10 siblings.
Wow, seriously?
I come from a pretty big family, and kind of shaped the way that I grew up and my perseverance and ability to just put my head down and grind. Because when you're in a family that big, you got to do that sometimes. So those are two interesting facts. I'm not a tech guy. I think like born and bred. I came into this. I was an athlete my whole life and thought I'd be an athlete for the rest of my life. But not everybody makes it to the league. So I love tech and love where I'm at. But my background as an athlete, I think, has helped me a lot too. And we can get into that.
Yeah, that's crazy because you know what? I had somebody, who was it? Somebody hit me out and was like, yo, I want to say it was Will. It's like, yo, I was talking to AJ and then I seen another guy that looked just like him, but he had long hair. And I was like, hold on, AJ got long hair. I was like, that's his brother, yo. He's like, I didn't even know he had a brother. But now we know we got 8 more siblings. Like, yeah. That's good. And I bet you all y'all look alike.
Probably, yeah. My younger brother, he's playing football right now in Utah, and he looks just like I did when I was his age. It's crazy. It's like, and he's a clown just like me, like I was at that age too. So it's wild. It's you know how it is with siblings.
Yeah, I got one. So that's it. With my half sister, we grew up together, same age, everything. You know what I'm saying? Our pops, connected us, and it was just rap from there. That's been my red, man. So, but we want to get into, because I know people came for the meat and potatoes, and we want to get to know you a little bit better as well. So I'm just going to start off with, we know right now from 2020 and now in 2021, this industry is exploding, bro. And new talent are just coming in droves trying to transition into this industry, which means there's a lot of developing engineers that are looking for new opportunities. So tell us more about how you got started in the tech and what's the difference between work ethic when you got started to what the work ethic is and it's required now for someone to get into the industry.
Yeah, so I got started. I think I had like 2 starts in tech. I started my cybersecurity career in the U.S. Army, where I was a signal officer for 6 years. So I served in the Army, and that was tech and cyber, but it was different, right? I was a leader. I was a leader of people. Our technology was a Cisco router and Microsoft SharePoint. It wasn't nothing crazy. So I learned a lot. I learned, I think the thing I learned the most is I did a lot of like help desk stuff in the Army. The group I was leading up, we did a lot of help desk stuff as well. Then I also learned how to communicate with senior leaders and help me learn how to talk. And I think the most important thing I learned is leadership, which a lot of times in tech, we focus on the technology, but you really got to understand how to communicate, especially when we talk about cybersecurity. It's very important to know how to communicate. And I think I had an interesting journey because in the Army, I learned how to communicate first. I learned that before I learned all the deep tech stuff that I know now, which has definitely helped me, I think, in this part of my career. When I left the Army, when I got tired of sleeping outside, I went to work at a cybersecurity consulting firm. And there is where I dove deep into AWS. And the way that I started to get that expertise in AWS is something that I think is available to a lot of people at organizations they're at. I looked around and I realized like 80% of our customers and clients we were working with were hosted on AWS. And then I looked around my practice and the people I was working with, and I was like, none of us know anything about AWS. Like, we're out here issuing these reports.
How it is today still, though.
Exactly. There's a lot of people that don't still. So I'm looking around like, hold on, man. So like we have all these customers on AWS. Nobody knows what they're doing. So if I just learn a little bit about this, I'm going to stand out and I'm going to be able to carve my own path. So I started and I was just like, let me go get this AWS cloud practitioner and see what this is about. And I started learning a little bit about services and I was like, oh, I get it. And I started putting the pieces together. And from there, I got addicted. And I was fortunate because I was seeing it every single day at work. Every day I'm reviewing another client's AWS environment, looking deep at their stuff and be getting exposed to it, like repeatedly looking at IAM, repeatedly looking at EC2. And then I'm just like, all right, like I know what I'm doing. And I was put in a position there, a leadership position really fast because I was the only person that knew AWS. So I stood out and they're like, hey, for all of our AWS clients, guess who's going? It's you, AJ, you're going first. And that was from the startups to the Fortune 10 companies. And that exploded. So I would tell people all the time, AWS changed my life. And I'm not joking. Like if I didn't go hard and learn AWS, somebody else probably would have, and they would have had the opportunity. And I could have still been at that company because I still would have been in the mid-level, but I rose to almost an executive level pretty quickly because I was the only guy that knew AWS. So that's something that I think is available to a lot of people, especially if you're already working at a company. I guarantee you they're either thinking about moving to the cloud or they're in the cloud and they need more people that know it. So if you just pop up with some cloud knowledge and be like, hey, I need that person. That person knows some stuff about AWS, bring them over here. And that's, I took an opportunity. I think a lot of times in life, opportunities like that present themselves, and it requires you to do something that nobody's going to tell you to do. Nobody told me to go learn AWS. Nobody told me to stay up late at night messing around on the console and breaking things or being a cloud guru, watching videos all night. Nobody told me to do that, but I wanted to because I was like, I'm going to do something that's going to allow me to carve out and differentiate myself from everybody else. And so that, that's my journey. I took that experience and everything that I learned there in a consultant space and went out and decided to do something crazy and launch a company. A software company. We're hosted on AWS, and there's no way I'd be able to do what I'm doing now if I didn't go down that path 3-4 years ago. Because it's crazy to try to launch an application in the cloud if you don't know anything about it. So now as a founder and somebody that sees AWS accounts all day and doing demos and AWS and all this other stuff, it's wild to me because just 4 years ago I was getting the cloud practitioner, which is how fast things happen in this industry.
Yeah, seriously though. And I think the same thing that's happened to me, same thing that's happening with Bryant right now.
Yep.
Right. AWS literally changed my life. You know what I mean?
Me too.
So, hey, look, you already dropping jewels and knowledge right now. Listen, if y'all found this valuable already, put an AJ in the comments. Put the AJ in the comments right now. AJ right now. I want to see some AJs. Come on, now. AJ. Yeah, put the AJ in the comments because he already dropping news, man. So this is crazy because this industry is changing so fast and more opportunity is coming for people like people that are in the program and level up in tech or people who want to transition because it can actually happen. It's no more of the stigma of you have to be this baby genius that was 2 years old fixing a computer and then you knew about no, like it's literally for anyone who wants to learn it, right? And once again, the thing you touched on was you have to put in the work, and it was long nights, it was sacrifice to get that success, but the success is sweeter than any type of candy you can taste, I promise you. So, definitely.
The thing you just said there is the reason why I'm so outspoken about my journey and outspoken about the field is because I realized at my last company when I was working with startup founders every day and seeing them every day and talking to them, I was like, hold on, like I used to think you guys were these crazy, super smart Mark Zuckerberg types. You're doing all these calculations in your head and you're just able to build some crazy products. I'm like, y'all regular dudes. And I'm like, I'm not the smartest dude in the world, but I'm right here with you and y'all starting companies. So that gave me the confidence to go out and do this because I realized, I have the capabilities to do it. And I think a lot of people that are trying to get into cloud security, they put people that are in there on a pedestal and they're like, oh, this person must know all these things. Nobody in cloud security knows everything. We Google all day. And we just decided that we are comfortable being confused. Anybody that's in this field is comfortable being constantly confused. And once you realize that the state that you're confused about right now, if you're starting out your journey, you're still going to be there 4 years from now because you know so much more and there's so much more to learn. So I think hopefully with me speaking to anybody that ever sees this and anytime I ever do any speaking engagements, it's to normalize like, I'm a regular person. I wasn't a baby genius that was born to do this. I just try hard and got interested in the cloud and realized that there was a huge opportunity and put the work in. Like you said, it takes putting that work, but it doesn't take you being some crazy, and it doesn't take you. A lot of people think too, like, I got to be passionate about this. You don't have to be passionate about this. I love cybersecurity. It's fun. It's cloud security, but I also love going to the beach, and I'd rather do that more than I'd rather be on the computer. Working in cybersecurity helps me go to the beach a lot more.
Right,
and I get to get paid the way I want to get paid. So that's the thing that people got to realize too. You don't have to be, oh, I love this so much. Like sometimes you're not going to like it, but it's all right. It's a means to an end, and that end is sweet, like you said.
Yo, you hit it on the head, bro.
Yeah, man.
I didn't want to interrupt you, Brian. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, nah, man. I mean, he dropping a lot of jewels, and I share most of his sentiments in terms of working hard and getting into the cloud. However, I want to transition into the question that people always ask all the time. Like even on LinkedIn, they'll hit you and they'll be like, what certification should I get? You know what I mean? You know, where should I start? Blah, blah, blah type of questions. And then they see breaches happening, right? We see breaches happening for these major companies everywhere. And, you know, we're transitioning into this period where we hear continuous integration and continuous delivery. And now we hear continuous security because cloud security never ends. Every day there's a threat out there. So that brings the question of what certification should I get? What certification should I work on? Like, what do you think is the best thing? And I'm going to even rephrase it to someone just getting started trying to target cloud security.
Yeah, I would say I tell everybody that's just getting started, learn cloud. That's my overall advice. Just to start in the cloud because that's where you're going to end up. And everything else is you can build on top of cloud. But the other second piece of advice the next step is pick a cloud provider. A lot of people try to go vendor agnostic, and I don't recommend that. Because whatever you learn over there, you're going to have to relearn for whatever cloud provider because they call it something different. And you have to learn that cloud provider's language. AWS, Azure, Google Cloud all call their servers something different. So just that right there alone, it doesn't make sense to go learn something that's cloud agnostic like the Cloud Plus or the CC, whatever that is. I think you should go get a cloud practitioner or an Azure Fundamentals or I don't know what GCP calls it, but whatever they
don't even have a fundamental.
It's an associate cloud engineer.
Yeah, just go get that. But because there's enough opportunity in every single cloud provider from a job perspective, if you specialize, and all the cloud providers, they innovate so fast, it's impossible to build that expertise by bouncing around. I would not be where I'm at with AWS if I try to learn Azure at the same time. And I even tried to take a break and learn Azure for about 2 months at the end of last year. And I was supposed to take the security cert, never got around to it because things were moving so fast on AWS and I'm building my application there and I'm integrated with AWS and I'm trying to make sure my customers are good over there too. And it's just stuff moves so fast. It's very hard to specialize. And you always hear about multi-cloud. In my opinion, that's a myth. No companies really actually run applications in multiple clouds. They run their application in one cloud and they might store some stuff somewhere else, or they might use something else for testing or maybe identities or something. But they're actually running their application in one cloud and they're going to say, I need someone that knows AWS or I need someone that knows Azure. They're not going to say, I need someone that knows cloud. That doesn't mean anything because you have to be. So my advice would be, go after one of those cloud providers, get a fundamental cert, either cloud. AWS to me is the easiest one to learn. Because it's for me, no matter how technical you are, it breaks things down a little bit easier. Azure, you need to have Microsoft experience, maybe be familiar with PowerShell, some other stuff. And Google, you just need to be a developer to use Google. It's just Google's wild. So AWS to me is the easiest. I would say Cloud Practitioner is a great start. It's how I started my journey. And then from there, I always recommend people go get Solutions Architect Associate next. Pick that cert up because that cert is the game changer that really shows like something. You actually know how to configure things. You actually know how to solve problems. And then if you're trying to from there, you're going to know what you really want to do. You're going to get exposed to so much in the AWS. You're going to be like, I really want to get more into security. And maybe you need to go back and get Security Plus to get some more of that foundational knowledge. But you can just continue on, go as SysOps associate to security specialty journey. But there's overall advice, learn cloud. Second piece of advice, pick a cloud provider and then go after their cert path. And that's going to be what you'll need. And it's for the AWS cert. So I actually help write questions for their certification exams. And I want to break down how we are supposed to do those and how we get evaluated because that shows you the value of these certifications. So even at the cloud practitioner level, I've helped write questions for cloud practitioner, solutions architect associate, and security specialty. And you have to, for every question, you have to have a justification for the question. You have to say, I'm asking this because of this. It relates to this part of the guide. Then for every answer, whether right or wrong, you have to have documentation from AWS to support every single answer choice. So for every question, you have to do that. Then after you write your questions go to this bank. And then you sit there in a room with 12 people. Most of them are from AWS. Only like 2 or 3 of us are from external. And they throw your questions on the screen. They don't show your names. And the whole room just beats your question up and says, oh, no, that doesn't make any sense. No, that's not good enough. That service doesn't do that. And then it has to get sent back. So your question, a question that gets to that certification exam has been reviewed maybe 10 times by different experts at AWS and from external parties.
Ooh.
Make sure that the questions in that exam are real. They're good questions that matter. That's why AWS Search is so respected, because it is a real process to get those questions in there. And that's why they're valuable. Those search are not easy. You can't really dump them. And if you did dump one of those exams, it'd be very clear right after somebody talked to you about it. Because anybody that's taken those exams and knows what you have to go into to get through them and what you have to learn and troubleshoot, they're going to be able to sniff out if you don't know what you're talking about anyways. But I would say, I'm a big believer in AWS Search. I think those are powerful and mean a lot in the industry.
Yeah, thank you for that, man. So I'm going and ask an additional question on top of that, right? So are there any like we talk about AWS, and we talk about learning AWS specific services, but as a entry-level person in the cloud security, are there any third-party services that I should try to pick up while learning cloud that help me understand some of these tools that companies are using out here?
Yeah, I would say it depends on your path, but definitely if you're trying to become like a DevOps person, you need to learn CS, configuration management tools. Specifically, probably Terraform.
Yeah,
you should probably learn Terraform and learn what infrastructure as code is, and understand how it interacts with the cloud. And from there, I think the cool thing about the cloud is there's a lot of services that mimic third-party services. So you can go and learn a code commit, and you basically learn GitHub. You can go and learn a guard duty, and now you know a little bit about intrusion detection. So you can take a lot of knowledge from those services and go apply it elsewhere. It's fairly easy to find companies' tech stacks. If you just go to a company's website, search a career board, and see what they're asking people to have experience in.
Yep.
You can go see what is their tech stack, and then you go learn that. You want to go work at it. You pick 10 companies. Say, my dream 10 companies are these at 10 companies, and go look at all their job descriptions and just do some research and see what the common themes are. You're probably going to see AWS, Terraform, and maybe Jenkins and
Ansible.
Yeah, Ansible. You're going to see a lot of the same. It's going to be a lot of the same stuff. So once you realize that, and I always tell people in this field, once you learn one tool, you learn them all. So if you learn Terraform, you can apply that knowledge to Ansible. You can apply it to Chef.
Yep.
They all do things a little bit differently, and they call them differently. You got playbooks versus cookbooks and all these other things, right? It's all the same stuff. It's just called something different. So that's why I always say specialize. Learn one tool, learn everything you can about it, become an expert on that, and you can apply that knowledge elsewhere. But these tools have such big market share. There's so many jobs available. If you just know something and can really speak about it. I know companies that are literally looking for that. The thing about the cloud that's dope is it's so segmented. You can go get a job in the cloud just doing identity and access management.
Yeah.
You can get a job in the cloud doing networking, just security, just logging. There's so many opportunities that you just need to go in, learn, and go all in. And just diving deep into it.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree, man. I mean, it's one of those things where, and I write about this tomorrow too in a new blog post for our newsletter, so y'all look out for that. But you're talking about even when you're looking to, let's say, go to Capital One, or you're looking to go to Bytechek, right? And Bytechek has this job description. If you're already building your skills, look at what your skills align with the job description, and those things that you don't have. And if it's, let's say if you got an interview coming up and it's a little too late to learn those skills, get familiar with them, right? Get familiar with the services and just understand what they do. Because like AJ said, once you deep dive into one and you start learning, let's say Terraform, you're going to understand the processes of how Chef works, or how, Ansible works, or Puppet, whatever the case may be, and you could be able to talk about how you think it solves problems. And hey, I haven't used CloudFormation before, which is, for those of you who don't know, it's an AWS specific infrastructure as code service that they use specifically on AWS. But you can say I've used a cloud agnostic tool like Terraform, and this is how I use it, right? So that's experience, that's knowledge. It's almost similar, like I said, where if a company asks you to use Excel, but you've used Google Sheets before, you can just talk about how you use Google Sheets. They probably be like, that's close enough. All right, come on.
Right.
Exactly.
That's exactly how it is, man. So, all right. So for people listening in right now, a new entry-level cloud security engineer, what can they really expect as a salary for a junior level role? And also, let's say if I'm a person making 80 grand right now, right? And the entry level role I'm looking at is 80 grand. What if I wanted a little bit more? I know I'm entry level and I'm junior, but what if I wanted a little bit more? What are some things I can do in the interview to try to negotiate after the offer?
Yeah. So on the first question, I had to do some research on this because I honestly didn't know. But what Google tells me is a junior role starts around 70 grand a year on average in the U.S. and a normal cloud security engineer is making on average 135 grand a year. And what I've learned in this industry is you're going to get paid as much as that position is worth to the company. It doesn't have a lot to do with you, unfortunately. Sometimes a position could not be worth that much to a company. So they're going to say, I'm going to hire anybody because I don't really care. And this is the salary I'm going to do. But sometimes there's an immediate need. And that's how I'll get into kind of the negotiation of your salary. So there's a lot of factors there. It's based off of, what's the budget they have for that position? Where do you live? That's a big factor. If you live in DC versus live in Kansas, your salary is going to be different, just based off the cost of living. So, but my technique for interviews and negotiating salaries, and I didn't really learn this until I got into the industry and had to sit in those conversations, is never tell them what your expectation is. Don't give a number. Don't tell them what you currently make. Don't tell them what you're looking for. Don't do that. Don't show your cards at all. Just explain. If you get asked that question, you ask me, hey AJ, what's your what do you currently make? You say I get paid market rate for my position and someone of my expertise, but I'm not comfortable sharing the details of my salary right now, as I don't think it's relevant to this conversation. Okay, well, what do you expect for the position? I expect you all to pay me what you think the role was worth. If whatever you think this role is worth, based off of the expertise, the position, and the importance of it, that's what I expect from a pay perspective. And the HR person that you're talking to will lay off a little bit there. And they'll know, okay, this person is kind of seasoned, they understand how to go through this process, so you generally won't get pressured too much. You go through the interview process. There really shouldn't be ever any conversations about finances moving forward as you're talking to hiring managers and other people. They're just trying to get to know you. When you do get that offer letter, you need to think about, what is the amount you want? What's that number? If you get an offer for 90 and you're like, I want 100. Okay, cool. You want 100. You also, when you get an offer letter, think about what the total package is. A lot of people focus on that base salary, but in tech, bonuses could be crazy. Equity could be nice. It just depends on the package. And always think about that. There's oftentimes you have the opportunity to get a big sign-on bonus because sign-on bonuses are easier for a company to pay than committing to a long-term salary, because they usually have some discretionary funding to do that with. So you can say, okay, you can keep my salary at 90, but I want 15K up front. Now you got your 105. There's other ways to do it. But anyways, if you say you got a base salary, bonus is already pretty high, maybe you're getting 25%, so you can't really move much there, but you want to get to 100. You need to go back and ask them for 110 because they lowballed you. They lowballed you because they're trying to see what they can get you for. So they have room to go up. If you ask for 100, you're going to get 95. If you ask for 110, they're probably going to come closer to 100. When you ask for it, you need to ask for it and bring up stuff you talked about in the interview. So during the interview, they're going to say, what questions do you have for me? And ask them, if I'm successful in this role, what does this mean to the company? And they're going to put their foot in their mouth. They're going to say, well, this would mean this. It's going to generate this much revenue. And remember everything they say in that sentence. Because then when you come back and ask for an increase in salary, you say, well, I know in this role, the successful outcome is X, Y, and Z. Because that's what you guys told me, that's what it will be. And I think since that's a successful outcome of X, Y, and Z, I think this is what I deserve because of that. Because they're going to tell you how much it's worth to them. You say, what is the business value of my role and the success of my role? Who is this going to impact? Our customers, internal? What is my role going to do for the company? And they're going to tell you all of it. Every single person you talk to will give you the answers to why you deserve a higher salary. So you use their words against them. Don't give up your cards is my advice at the beginning. Just let the process play it out. Because sometimes people will put their foot in their mouth and not even get through the process. They'll say, I expect 110. And the company's going to be like, you know what? I don't want to do, because they don't know you yet. So go convince people first that they want to hire you and do so well in the interview process that when you ask for 110, it's a no-brainer. Even if it's above budget, somebody's going to go and say, I need approval to go above this because I was a hiring manager. If I wanted someone, I could get them. Price never mattered. If I could get you because I can go get approval for a higher salary.
Right.
I oftentimes wouldn't see people because they would tell the HR person, I want 130. I'm like, we're not paying 130. The right candidate gets to me, though, I'll get you 130. If you're the right candidate, you did your thing in your interview. So a lot of times people talk themselves. You don't disqualify yourself before you've proven what your value will be. And if you say it too early, the HR person will be like, I'm gone because it's going to be a waste of my time. Because they're evaluated on how many people they get a job. They don't care the salary. HR does not care how much you get paid. They just need to put somebody in that position so they can check that off of their quota for the month.
Right.
So, that's a long diatribe, but that's my advice, especially on the negotiating piece.
Gotta get to the offer. Gotta get to the offer.
Look, dropping bombs, yo. Hey, AJ in the chat right now. If that was some gems for you. AJ in the chat. Put the AJ in the chat right now if that was valuable information. It was valuable for me because I'm like, whoa, that's crazy, right?
To took some of those tips on my
listen. For real though, to get through the interview, I think I'm gonna drop some tips for y'all right now. When you're looking at that company, if you're looking at Bytechek, one thing that people fail to do is look at Bytechek.
Yeah.
Right? Go to the About Us section or look on the website. See what
all you got to do.
Because listen, I bet you 90% of the people that interview go into the interview and can't even tell you what the company does. If they ask that question, hey, Bryant, tell us more about what we do. 90% of people will fail right there.
Listen, it's okay.
It's over after that point.
It's over, right?
Yeah. So it's okay to regurgitate about us. At least you went to the website.
Right.
And even if I don't know what, whatever is necessarily, I can at least say, hey, I know this is what y'all do. At least it'll show you put the effort to go through the website to look what they do or look at recent articles or whatever the case is, to show interest.
If you think about it, that the hiring manager, I was in a role, and I mean now today too, I'm hiring 5-6 people. I'm not interviewing 5-6 people at times, right? If I'm going through an interview process, I'm gonna try to bake them all in one day as fast as possible. I'm not gonna remember you if you don't show me that you did any research. If you're just a regular person, say, yeah, I'm just interested in this field, and I'm looking for an opportunity. And I'm like, okay, so why Bytechek? And like, I get it, people need money, that's why they apply. But I'm asking why you want to, why would you enjoy working here? What did you see that said this is the opportunity for me? Because a lot of times in job seeking, people think it's one way. Yep. Like the company needs to want you, but you need to want the company too. Right. And you need to just demonstrate why you want the company. So that's huge advice. There's 2 questions that will get you automatically disqualified in an interview with me. And this was before Bytechek, and this is at any company. I'm gonna ask you about the company. If you can't tell me nothing, I'm turned off for the rest of the interview. I'm just gonna go through the process. Or if I ask you, what do you know about AWS? And you can't tell me anything. It's just, I can't deal with that. I don't expect everybody to be an expert, but AWS is big enough. And if you want to work in this field, you should know what it is. You should know what cloud computing is and have the basics of that. So those are 2 questions that are just you got to come in. And that's something that, again, what Brian said, go to the website. You can find out where they're hosted. And then you can just say, hey, I saw that you guys host AWS. I saw this recent news that just came out. Boom, you automatically are memorable.
Right. That's because they forget that you've been through the process, or that hiring manager, whoever, been through the process so much that you can literally, as soon as they start speaking and you ask them that question, you're like, they ain't do the research. I already know. And some people will talk themselves in a hole, and you just be like, I checked out. So
just let them keep talking.
Check out the company, understand what the company do, or what they do, what jobs they're doing, and the organization they're trying to run. Understand their goals if you can. Research what their goals are, and that'll tell you if you've done some research with the job description and understanding the job description and knowing what type of role you're applying for. That'll tell you how you can be able to solve problems for them, right? So, understanding the company, understanding the job description and the role, and using things. So if you don't have industry experience, right? If they talk about migration, and I literally talk about this in the blog tomorrow, if they talk about migration, you don't have production level experience with migrating from on-prem to cloud or whatever, then talk about your experience when you're migrating in simulated environments, right? Talk about what type of scenario did you think in your head? What was this for, right? What was you trying to accomplish? Right? What tools did you use to migrate, and why did you choose those tools over anything else? And if you had any failures, if the shit just didn't work,
Yeah.
What did you try to do to implement a solution, and what happened from there, right? Sometimes they're not expecting you to successfully do it. What you're talking about is your experience. So they know and they see, okay, bro, we see your thought process and how you can solve problems, right? And this is exactly what we want for this role, right? We're not expecting you to get everything, right? But we expect you to come and really help us think through how we can find solutions for our customers or whatever the case may be.
Yep.
That's going to help you a lot. And number 3, the last step is research the person that you are interviewing with. So if you can get that information, because sometimes the recruiter doesn't give you that information, but if the recruiter says you're interviewing with Brian Witcher tomorrow, you better be looking up Brian Witcher on LinkedIn, and you better check out what Brian Witcher is doing right now, what type of projects he's working on. Try to find something. If Brian Witcher plays basketball and he shared a clip with, LeBron James dunking on somebody last night, and you're like, yo, I'm a LeBron James fan. That's something you can use in an interview to talk about. Like, yo, you see that game last night, though? Seriously. And y'all that's rapport building, right? If you see Brian living in, New York, you like, yo, I just came from New York last weekend. Me and my wife, or me and my husband, whatever, was in New York. That's rapport building. That's things that you can talk to the interviewer about. Or if you see Brian's been working on a huge Terraform project and you've been really working your ass off trying to learn Terraform, that's something that you can talk about. You can literally say, hey, I've been doing this and that and the other. And I know I'm not an expert now, but I definitely can, even after this interview, if you're down for it, I want to hit you up and talk about things that you've done with Terraform, just to pick your brain. Guess what that is? Now you're in Brian's back pocket, right? So now you're really, you have that relationship. So even if you don't get this role, let's just say something pans out and you don't even get this role, Brian's going to remember you, be like, hey, look, I know this role, you didn't get, but we got something else. Or I got somebody that's looking for a Terraform, entry-level Terraform guy, and I think you might be the right one. It's all about relationships. So AJ dropped what you should be doing, and how you negotiate the salary. I'm giving you the tools on how you make it through the interview. Brian, do you want to add anything? Because I know I'm sorry, bro.
Man, nah, man, you good. Yeah, y'all done really stole most of my points. The only thing I can say in the interview, right, is don't say you've used something and then try to embellish it, because you can also tell when someone, when they ask about, hey, have you used Ansible before? And you can say, well, yeah, I've done blah, 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 but, you really haven't. In other words, you can tell. I like to spin it up. While I haven't used this service before, my understanding of it is that you can use it to do X, Y, Z.
That's a perfect answer.
So, and when you do X, Y, Z, it solves, A, B, C problems. So I learned that from my interview failures, y'all. I'm telling y'all. So y'all
how you think. It just matters how you think. We want to see how you think. We don't care if you know every answer. It's like, how are you going to solve a problem? So that's spot. That's the perfect answer, Brian. Everybody needs to, when they listen to this, say that every single time. And you will get it in the interviews. And what you were saying brought us about just building that rapport. That's not going to go away after you stop interviewing. As a security professional, you got to build rapport with everybody in your organization for them to take security seriously. When you get to an executive level, guess what you got to do? You got to sell. How is the best way to sell? You build a relationship. You build rapport. I still do that same technique before sales calls. I'll go and look at the person's LinkedIn, see what they wrote about, see what school they went to. Recent client I closed, the first call I hopped on, I saw that the dude played football at Georgetown or at I don't remember what school, some school, right? I started the call where I was talking about being athletes. We didn't talk about cybersecurity for the first 15 minutes of the call. We just talked about student athletes in the NCAA and built that relationship. And guess what? They're a customer now. You got to always build those relationships first. Do it in your interview process, because if I'm going through and I'm interviewing 5 people, I'm going to remember that person that said, yeah, I was listening to that interview you did, AJ, a couple of weeks ago. I was watching this, and what you said about X, Y, and Z really resonated with me. I'm going to remember that. And it's not from an ego standpoint. I don't care if you go out and watch something about me, but it's you took the time. You're just going to stand out. I'm going to, if you think about it from a perspective of to get what a trick you can do to ever meet someone. Tell them you have a podcast. If somebody that's a public figure that's trying to build a brand, tell them you have a podcast and tell them you want to interview them for a podcast. It's launching in the fall or something. You can get them on a Zoom because people love to talk about themselves, and it's nothing wrong with that. But people love to tell their story. So in an interview, if you can bring up something about that person and get them to start talking about themselves, it's going to be a positive experience for them psychologically. Just you're going to train your brain that it was a good experience because you got them to talk about themselves and feel good about themselves, feel like they're giving back and inspiring someone. So it's just a nice way to be memorable in these interviews. And then to Bryant's point, if you don't know something, don't pretend.
Yeah.
Because that's the worst.
Yeah. The worst thing.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to have all the skills that these jobs are asking for. You know, I'm living proof of that right now. I do not check off all the boxes, but I'm damn sure going to send an application in if I feel like it. You know what I mean? Because, hey, look, you miss my boy Terrence. He might not be on here, but he's in the Level Up in Tech program. He has a saying that you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Right. You can't be scared in this business, right?
Stop analysis paralysis.
Now, right. And just to piggyback on what they said, right? Make sure whatever skills you do have, if you got Terraform, if you've been working on Terraform, if
you better have Terraform too.
Hold on. If you're learning Linux, and if you're working on Terraform, or let's say you're working on Jenkins, whatever, if you've been learning some of those skills that match up to the job description, make sure you have projects to talk about. Right? Make sure when they ask you about your experience, you can talk about that project that you've done. The worst thing that you can get asked, like Brian said, if they say, hey, do you know Ansible? And you say, yeah, I know Ansible. And they're going to say, well, tell me a little bit about your experience with it. That's the question you don't want if you don't have any experience. Because right then and there, you just sunk your opportunity with that company. So yeah. I will say this. We're going to recap real quick because we're going to open up for some questions anybody has. So, number one, make sure if you're applying for the role, understand what that company is about, where they're trying to go if you can get that information, what their goals are. Understand the job description. Understand the role. Because some people go in and apply for the role and don't even know what that role entails as far as the skills they need to bring to the table. So understand that. Right? Understand who you're interviewing with, right? Making sure you shine and asking those questions that Ada and Brian and I've been talking about in the interview. Just build that rapport, right? Talk about your projects. Talk about what you've been working on, right? If you don't have the experience, then say you don't have the experience, but say I have experience with this and this is where it's similar. If you don't have any similar experience, just say, hey, I don't have any experience with that, but I think I have no problem getting to learn that skill or tool that you need me to learn. And they want to see just are you able to pick something up if they put it down, yep. Right? And the last thing I would say is if you're looking for a certain type of salary, use the tips that AJ said, hey, what are your salary expectations? I expect to get paid what this role is worth to you guys, what the market. Can you say what the market rate is or just say what this role is worth to you guys? What would you say? Both. You're on mute. I don't know.
No, he's not on mute, but we can't hear him.
My bad. Can you hear me now?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say you can say market rate. You can say either what the role is worth to them or what you can say, I did my research and I saw there's a typical range for this role. And I would expect to be paid within what, is standard for this role. And then also what it's worth to you as an organization. They know those numbers. They know what they budgeted for that role.
Look, so I'm going to go on that and I'm going to ask one more question before we probably head to our Q&A. When you're filling out the application, they ask you a lot of the times what your salary expectation is. Now, I know a lot of the times I like to put negotiable in there, but sometimes they don't let you put non-numerical numbers in there. Yeah. So what is your suggestion about that? Because sometimes that's how you get X out too. Because if I put 180,000 on there and they ain't trying to pay.
Oh, now you throw that doing out the window.
Yeah,
I would. I've done it before. I don't know. People are gonna hate me, but I put 0 before.
0. I was thinking that 0.
I got an interview like, I saw you put 0 for salary expectations. Like, oh yeah, my bad. That must have been a typo. But I just expect market rate for the position. And they look at me like, HR tell you you're going to get that look from HR. They're going to be like, oh, well, to move forward, we got to understand and make sure it's not outside of expectations. And I'm just like, I think we're going to be on the same page. I know what size company you are. I know what this role means to you based off of market rate. I think we'll be the same page, and I think we can talk about that at the end of the process. I think it's too early to talk numbers. We don't even know if we're a good fit yet. And they're just trying to.
I like that.
The only thing that's
good.
I like that.
That goes towards a company culture.
Exactly.
They're gonna ask you about that in the end anyway.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, you can say, I want to learn more before I put a number.
Yeah. So fire right there. Hey, AJ's in the chat. Y'all know the deal. AJ's in the chat. More information. AJ's in the chat. Let's go. AJ, I want to see AJ. AJ. If you're not getting value from this, I don't know what you're gonna get value from, because you're dropping jewels in this joint. Let's go.
Man.
So I want to open up for any questions any one of you may have about your career. Go ahead and drop your questions in the comments right now. Let's see if we got anybody that's going to pop up. Go ahead, get your typing on. Let's see.
I answered one question already. So,
and that was Mike. Mike was talking about he had a security plus. Should he go for CISP or what is it? What would he say?
CCSP.
Yeah, AWS. Go learn the cloud.
Yep, that's what I told him. Get in the cloud. He said, been working in cloud over 5 years. Certain SA and dev. Okay, cool. Go get this security specialty. I went and got it after the solutions architect.
Or SysOps associate. If you already got solutions architect and dev, SysOps is going to be easy, and it's just another one that you'll be able to knock out pretty easily. Probably won't even have to study that much for.
Yep. So Amani said, what roles should current or recent graduate undergrads apply for? Me personally, it all depends on what skills you have and what transferable skills you can bring to the table, right? I wish I could say it was entry-level roles that were exact for people that's in cloud, but I mean, you got people that's getting entry-level DevOps roles. You got people coming in that's entry-level DevSecOps. You got people coming in cloud operations, even going into sales, solutions engineers. So it's plenty of roles that you can apply for. It all comes down to what type of skills do you think you have and what type of roles do you think you are matched for. I say if you have at least 60% of those skills in a role, just apply for it and get familiar with some of the skills and tools that you're not, so you can talk about them in an interview as far as the understanding of you knowing what they do and how they operate. I hope that answered your question. Anybody else want to chime in?
I would say don't limit yourself. A lot of times people come in and they're just like, I want to go do this only. And sometimes you can get into other roles by taking a different role. A lot of people run from GRC or they run from like tier one type things. If you're just getting started in this field, you need to learn a lot. There's a lot to learn. So just go get some experience. And it's very easy to move laterally in an organization. It's a lot harder to come from the outside. You get to an organization and people like you and you say, hey, I don't really like what I'm doing no more. I want to do something else. And it's easier to move in there. So I would also say with the role aspect is if you're in a position that you can take an internship, do an internship and bet on yourself. You're going to be able to get more opportunities and bigger opportunities as an intern and get your foot in the door. And that doesn't mean you stop applying. Keep applying for other full-time roles while you have the internship. Yeah. But the thing you're going to get is exposure to real-world situations. And that exposure, 1 week of an internship is more valuable than 1 week of applying for jobs, 100% of the time. I don't care what the rate is. Don't do unpaid internships. I don't believe in those. I think those should be illegal. But if you're open to internships, obviously people have family situations, but if you're open to internships, those are great opportunities to get your hands dirty quickly without a company committing a ton to you. So it's a lot easier to get the foot in the door.
Yeah.
I agree. Do we need any other questions that we see, Brian?
Yeah, we got two more. Just dropping in.
Let's see.
Oh, I got that one from Michael. This is Michael. I don't know how to say the last name, but he says, what's the easiest way to get back into tech after a hiatus and say you're already taking some cloud certs but don't hear back from job applications? This is something that brought us, and I would probably tell everybody we talk to, and it's to get active on LinkedIn. If you're applying for jobs blindly, you're hustling backwards. You you are going about it the way that you are going to get declined. It's
Yep.
you're going to get 1 out of every 250 maybe to respond.
I got my job that I currently have on LinkedIn, and I can't tell you how many applications I submitted. I probably submitted in the hundreds of applications and commenting on one post.
Yeah.
And thanks to Broadus, because I was uncomfortable at first on LinkedIn, messaging recruiters, sending resume with a little explanation because I knew they weren't going to read it all. And thankfully I did, because I remember not listening to them for the first couple of weeks of doing that. So, yep, get active on LinkedIn.
Definitely. Yeah, you gotta post, and don't post your journey. Post when you're learning. Post when you're struggling. Post about.
Post when you fail.
Exactly.
All of it. So,
post, be consistent. Also, find when Broadus posts, when Bryant posts, and be in their comments. Because guess what? Guess what you're doing now? You're in their network. It's like being at a conference. If Bryant's hosting a talk with 50 people, and he's like, "Man, Terraform's dope. I love Terraform," and you walk up and you're like, "Yeah, I'm actually learning Terraform now," and Bryant turns and talks to you. Those 50 people now know who you are because they were listening to Bryant and Bryant's talking to you. That's a LinkedIn comment. Go comment on Bryant's post, and guess what? Everybody that he's connected to sees your comment, sees him interacting with you, and now you're embedded in the community. It's so easy. It's right in front of people, and everybody just ignores it for oftentimes. But if you ask anybody that has went from not active to active on LinkedIn, the results are there. The results are clear. What happens?
Yep, LinkedIn is your best friend right now. It's very important to land a role in these days right now.
Yep.
So I see Darnell Ware says, I'm currently learning Linux and on CentOS. What would that provide a supplemental foundation in learning my preferred cloud?
I mean, learning Linux is going to be helpful anyway. And there's no
foundation.
No one should ever say don't learn Linux. So yeah, it's going to help you. What I would definitely, if you're trying to get into cloud security, dive into those Azure security services because they are doing some cool stuff over there at Azure with security. And there's a lot of opportunities because of how much stuff they're doing. So, immediately after you get done with learning Linux, I would start going hard at all the cloud certs over there with Azure, specifically on the security side, because there's a huge opportunity with what they're building and how they're building right now.
Yeah, and the good thing about Azure is that they've broken down their security certs into individual services. So you can be an IAM specialist. They even have I forgot what the name of it is, but they have a compliance specialist. They have it's like a blue team type of incident response kind of defender is what they call it, cert. It's like 5 of them. They have it. So you can go specialize in one area. I would recommend IAM because everybody likes IAM specialists, and some organizations
IAM very well these days.
There's
IAM is
with the customer, and they said, "Oh, I got to get my IAM specialist on." I got on the call with another customer, and they're like, "Oh, we just hired an IAM engineer." People are getting hired to manage identities in the cloud.
Yeah,
that's how big the cloud is now.
And listen, some of these companies, IAM is a disaster.
Oh, fast. It's crazy how it's so surprising how bad companies are at security. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Consultant and just constantly seeing it. It's pretty wild to constantly see things that are not good. But that's the opportunity. Right. There's a huge opportunity for anybody trying to get into it. And I think there's only like a 2-year window left before this field just kind of explodes and everybody's started up and all that. So right now is the time to lock in. Go hard. It's the end of the pandemic. So maybe, you probably want to get out and party, but just hold off a little bit longer and grind and get in this cloud stuff because it'll change your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to piggyback off of what AJ said, it's a perfect time to lock in. So for those of you, even if you have a technical background, if you're looking for to be held accountable, you're looking to gain experience, you're looking for something to get you an internship, apprenticeship, so you can gain those real world experience. You're looking for individuals to help you with interviewing, really building your network to land a role. If you're looking for a company that's going to push you beyond what you've been pushed and share our experiences with you of things not to do and what to do, and take you step by step from the basics, or even if you don't have a technical background, from understanding the fundamentals and foundations to having experience of being a DevOps or a cloud engineer. We have a Level Up in Tech Junior AWS DevOps Engineer program that when you come out, you have a portfolio filled with almost 22 projects that You're going to have a repo to share, a portfolio to share, and people are going to be able to see how you solve problems. And we have people that came out of the program that's landed roles at Evercast, Dell, Threat Connect, 118 Money, GE, one company we just had, Paul just got hired from. I don't know the name yet. I forgot the name.
Yeah.
We got to get the name of that company. So if you want a
Long gaming, forgot that.
Yeah, Belong Gaming. If you want a program that's going to help build the confidence with coaches that have been through the program and with coaches that some of them have come from non-technical backgrounds, I want you to click that link that's in the comments right now. If you're ready to break through the roadblocks and join the next cohort, we have a June 1st cohort right now. Click that link. Fill out the application. We have 3 types of payment options where you do a paid up front where you get $500 discount. We do 2 to 6 month installments, and we have a longer payment option with our partner called Meritize. So you can fill an application out from our application with Meritize and get approved and start June 1st. If you guys have any questions, let me put my number up here too. So I'm putting my number. You can text me. I'm putting it up there. I don't care. Text me right now. If you have any questions any career advice, anything that you need, text me, get on the text list. I will respond personally right back to you. But I want to say thank you to AJ. You guys can connect to AJ Yawn, LinkedIn, AJ Yawn. Let's put his, Brian, can you find his LinkedIn link for me real quick, bro?
Yeah.
Put that in there, connect with him. That man.
He might be on there already.
I'll drop my Twitter.
Look, I'm telling you now, this man is shining, and as a black man in tech, he's doing incredible things that we could just awe at. Just look at it like, yo, this is exactly how we should be doing right now. Everybody just going out there and creating change, creating opportunities, creating an ecosystem where everybody can change their lives. And this is exactly the type of information we wanted to bring to you today, where we wanted to help you get the value to be successful in your own terms, even if you didn't join a program, even if you didn't, join a boot camp. You could be successful in your own terms with this information. But if you want someone to hold you accountable and help you get from point A to point B, which is at the end of this program, you're going to be able to find your role. And most of our guests find a role within 90 days of graduating. Come to Level Up in Tech. Any parting words, Brian and AJ?
No, man, just get to work. Y'all wasting time right now. Get to work. All right, you got to put that work in. That's it.
I think a lot of people, when they start a new journey, they quit too soon. So I recommend anybody that's starting a new journey, ignore the results for the first 3 months. Give yourself 3 months of focus. Don't care about it, how many people like your stuff. Don't care about if you're grasping all the technologies. Don't care about nothing. Just show up every day for 90 days straight.
Every day.
The results will speak for themselves. But don't quit in those first 90 days. Those 90 days will be tough.
I almost did.
Everybody goes through it. So, put the work in. Give yourself 3 months before you start worrying about results. Appreciate the opportunity, brothers and Brian.
Hey, thank y'all. And we out. Y'all keep leveling up in tech. All right. See y'all later.